Hi, this is Spirit Soul Sense, Information for Your Soul, and I am Rarest, an INFJ, which means the Myers-Briggs Personality Type Test, which stands for Introversion, Intuition, Feeling, and Judgment. It says it's supposed to be the rarest personality type. I have met one black man who is an INFJ, and here on YouTube, I've seen a lot of non-black people who are INFJs. So I want to talk about my experience as an INFJ. I took the test first when I was an undergraduate, um, and I didn't think much about it. I don't even think I realized it was rare. I was like, yeah, I'm an introvert. I get that. I'm passionate. I get that. I just didn't really think much about it. I took it again when I was in graduate school, and at that time I was thinking about my goals in life. Um, and I think it gave me some insight into like who I am, and it packaged my personality in a way that I really hadn't thought about. And it made me like feel more secure knowing that, I'm kind of weird, I'm different, and I don't really relate to a lot of people. So reading about myself in a detailed way like that was like, yeah, that's me. Yeah, that's me. Everyone isn't like that, like compassionate. I mean, I was living in a bubble for a while. I was. So like when I read that, I got a lot of information about how I interact with other people, and I read a lot of the other personality types and how those types interact with other people, and it's just different. I don't think there's a better or right way. I just have one style of personality, and what makes the world such a beautiful place is that everyone is not the same. So I'm an INFJ. One of the things that they talk about, they call the personality an advocate personality, which fits me definitely. I studied psychology. I guess I champion for equality and equal rights for everyone. I've really made it my mission to learn as much as I can about oppressed groups like the LGBTQIA community. That's very important to me. I think as a black woman, I've also been sensitive to a lot of issues that maybe someone who's not black, who's an INFJ, wouldn't be drawn to. I can get the sense that they would be drawn to, oppression, equality, things like that. But living on earth as a black woman means that you get a lot of information in a way that a lot of other people don't get it. Because you're a woman and because you're black, it's like a double whammy of experiences, especially if you're living here in America. So black issues are very important to me. I really spent a lot of time learning about the structural racism, institutional racism. I think those are more important, honestly, than individual experiences of racism. I experience microaggressions, but I understand that the goal, and if we want to really see change, is to dismantle the whole system of racism, which is built on capitalism, which is built on the backs of black and brown people. And I think the way I can do that in my personal life is by making sure my money is right. I think once we get our economics right as a black community, we will see a lot of changes. But anyway, that's one of my soapboxes. LGBTQIA is also another cause that I think is very important, and so in my life, I make it a habit to interact as respectfully as I can, to be an advocate in any way that I can, and not just someone who says nice things about people who are from that community, because what people from that community need is policy changes, the government to stop. I say the government, but I think America reflects the ideology of a middle-aged white man who's racist. And that's not everyone's experience. There are middle-aged white men who are kind, who are advocates. But America seems to, because those folks have had a lot of the power for a long time. America kind of defers to their ideology, and everything kind of trickles down from the top of the people who have the most power, the 1%, and of those 1%, the people who happen to be racist. I mean, that's just the way it is. So as an INFJ, all of those things are very important to me. Looking at it from a bigger picture, having like these goals in mind of, what I'm going to do personally, professionally, and how I can impact my community, the nation on a larger sphere. I think my personality would be great in places of power, but my personality is also not drawn to places of power. I don't want to be the one who is just in control of people and telling people what to do. I want more of a collaboration. I don't want to be a part of a legislature or to be somebody's mayor. I don't want those things, but I know that because of my personality, I would excel in those kind of things. I'm very fair and equal and, just a good person who has integrity. And I think a lot of government positions are lacking people who feel those things and believe those things and really want to serve the community and not just themselves. But the people who do, push past this discomfort of not wanting to be in the spotlights or, not wanting to have to control or have the power to control a lot of people and a lot of things. When they push past like that discomfort, they can really do beautiful things. Also, as an INFJ, people with that personality type have a lot of compassion, right? And so I talked about that, which helped me, champion movements, but also in like interpersonal relationships, it's just overwhelming. I think that's the best word for it. It's like overwhelming. So I didn't know the word empath until maybe 2 or 3 years ago. And so an empath is someone who, kind of sucks in all the feelings of someone who's close to them, whether proximity wise or, in an intimate relationship. And that's definitely been the way my relationships have been throughout my entire life. And I think one of my first experiences of what that felt like, because it's a draining feeling. Like I had friends, right, who I allowed myself to be the dumping ground for their issues, any problems that they were going through, anything that they wanted to vent about. I was there because I'm also an introvert. Like that's a main part to the personality. And so I would much rather be like in the background listening than at the forefront getting all the attention. And so in my relationships and friendships, I would allow these friendships to be one-sided. And so there'd be, one friend who would be telling, and I would be, listening, and kind of taking on a lot of the issues that they had. It's not something I did like consciously, but it was draining. And I didn't realize, I felt like it was a privilege to have someone share with me all of their, intimate details and all the issues without even really thinking about the effect that it had on me, like spiritually. So it wasn't until many, many years later and many friendships that were mostly one-sided that were increasingly draining, I think, because when I finally realized it, it wasn't just that the friendship was draining, because my friendships are always draining. It was I was being drained from other areas too. And so there was no reserve for me. And so I realized then, oh my gosh, my friendships are draining. And I kind of need to change this to, feel good for myself. So it's still a work in progress for me. I have not mastered the friendship thing and how to find balance. I think in any friendship that I've had, it's just been lopsided. And so I think that's one of my weaknesses that I just have to learn to grow and deal with. Along with being an empath, right, that I've been since childhood, I've also been called an old soul a lot. I think the first time I was called an old soul was as a teenager. I don't remember who called me an old soul, but I remember when I was 19 or 20, in my early 20s, and I worked with a Rasta man who was very, very, Rastafarian, very spiritual, very deep, and we used to work from like 3 p.m. to 11 p.m. I don't think I ever worked like an overnight shift with him, but during those shifts with him, we in downtime we would have a lot of deep conversations, and he was the first one who kind of broke down to me what an old soul was and how I'm different, even though I was so young in my early 20s, having a lot of wisdom. So old souls generally like have a lot of wisdom beyond their age. And so when people talk to them, they get a sense that they're talking to someone who's much older, because the topics that we talk about and the way we talk about things are grounded, level-headed. The goal is about peace and understanding, and it's not combative. So old souls like me are just very calm kind of people who don't get easily offended and kind of take things in stride. And so that's my experience with being an old soul. I'm getting even older now, and I think people still experience me as an old soul. And so I imagine when I'm 80, 105, I don't think anyone will be calling me an old soul. I think they will be saying that I'm extremely wise, because I imagine, like, oh my gosh, in my early 20s, the things I thought I knew, and looking at myself now, it's just like, people thought I knew a lot of stuff then, and when I look back, I'm like, I didn't really know much. So like now that I've learned even more, and I'm still going to be continuing to learn and grow and evolve, I can just only imagine like what the experience of people talking to me will be like. The last thing I want to mention is how I'm often confused for an extrovert. So when people see me, I guess, at a podium, my comfort level, sort of like talking about big ideas, and maybe even doing this. I don't know what your experience of me is like, but I'm not an extrovert, like, at all. I think I've practiced a lot of speaking and talking to people, and a lot of the ideas that I have, I've thought about them a lot, so I feel like a certain level of comfort with them. And then I have bursts of energy where I can tolerate being around a lot of people. Doing something like YouTube is not really about a lot of people, because it's literally just like me and a camera. Like, if there's no one here. But I can perform. I have practiced enough to do, in different situations, what is expected. So if I'm hosting something, I know how to be funny. I am like a naturally funny person, but I know how to perform funniness, to get people to laugh. And I know all the rules, which is very important to me. I know all the rules for how to get things done. And so I can do big crowds, I can do a big audience. I just need to know ahead of time so I can prepare myself mentally, physically, because it afterward, I'm going to be relieved when it's over, because it's tiring. It's tiring to have to perform. It's tiring to have to be around so many different energies. And so when it's over, I'm very glad. And I do enjoy the experiences. It's not to say that, I hate being around other people. I love people. I just don't like people much. I mean, that's how I like to say it. I love being around other people. I just need doses, and I definitely need to know when my time to recharge is going to be. I think that's one of the biggest things about being an INFJ. I'm passionate, I'm compassionate, and I love to give to big ideas, to, whatever my goal is. But at the end of the day, I gotta recharge with food, with one person that I really enjoy talking to, with quiet, with nature. I definitely have to build all those things into my life. So I hope this gives you a good idea of what it's like for me being a Black woman who is an INFJ personality type. If you like videos like this, let me know. I could go, even more in depth into some of the things I've experienced. So you can comment down below, like if you like it, and subscribe. Thank you for watching.